What is going on, everybody? Chris with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Southeast Florida. We are picking up the trailer right now. We are at our neighborhood compound. We got our iced coffee because it is hot and summer is approaching. And I think this summer is going to be a pretty brutal one. And it's Tanya's first summer. She's not here right now. She went to a networking event. And I don't think she's going to have fun. I've been dealing with it my whole life. I've been born and raised in Florida. Still sucks, but I'm a little bit more used to it. She has no idea. So she's in for a treat. But we are headed to a senior living facility today to pick up a cabinet and a rug. Just gonna be a super simple minimum pickup. In my head, I'm already thinking we're just gonna push the cabinet up, slide a dolly under it, roll up the rug, stick it on top, roll it out to the truck all in one trip. Be super easy, unless of course that is all the complete opposite because it's a stupid cabinet, which is possible. Happens all the time. And then when we get back, we are going to be fixing this. We had this happen actually a couple weeks ago where these stupid little steel cables, which don't look like anything crazy, but they hurt when they touch you. And this is the prong for the gate. So we've been kind of putting this in our pocket, which has little metal spikes on the bottom, which hurt when it stabs you through your pant pocket. And if we lose it, that wouldn't be great because then you have this whole ramp being held in by one, and that's a lot of pressure. So I got a replacement wire and the little things to buckle it from Home Depot. Hopefully it's a fairly simple repair. I had to do it actually a couple months ago for my brake line. You can see I kind of half-assed it right here, and that was a pain, and I cut myself, and I had steel wire in my thumb that I had to pull out with pliers. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. I think I was getting frustrated because I couldn't get it, and like I shot my thumb like that, like kind of grabbed it, and that wire said, nope, I'm stronger than you are. And it was right. Learned my lesson with that. So kind of real quick, because it happens all the time. What's kind of going on with this job, it's not a big job by any means, but the client's mother had passed away. Senior living facility, memory care. He had gone in, took all the trash out, left behind everything for donation to pick up. They had the photos, they knew what to get, they approved of everything that was in there. Come to find out, they didn't take this cabinet and this rug because the truck was full, but didn't tell anybody. The client didn't know, the facility didn't know. So a day or two later, everyone's thinking this place is empty. They go in to go start cleaning and repairs, and there's still stuff in there, so they can't do anything. Now the client is getting charged additional days of occupancy, and now they have to call us to come out and pick it up, which, you know, it's fine for us, but obviously that's more money for the client. So it's just a minimum pickup, easy, but it's still, you know, an unfortunate situation. So that's something that we see happen with donation quite often. You know, that's the problem, is they have no obligation to do this stuff. You know, they're here picking it up for free because they're gonna sell it and profit for their organization, in addition to all the grants and other things that they get to do. Whereas with junk removal, it's a paid service, but we're gonna take what we tell you we're gonna take. We're not gonna leave something behind because we decide, we don't really want that anymore. That's not how that works. So this is where we're at. And we're gonna load up the trailer, and I need to move a couple of those things back there just so I can get the cabinet in. We'll weigh out at the dump because I have some debris back there, but we're gonna drop off all the patio furniture and the little grill for our scrapper. So we'll just do a weigh out, and I'll work on the trailer at home. While we head over to the senior living facility, let's talk about marketing. So we do a lot of repetitive work in senior living facilities, storage units, and occasional apartment buildings. Not as much as we used to with apartment buildings, but we're still in them. And for us, pretty much 9 out of 10 places that we frequent to, we got into through a connection. We do go to places one-on-one and kind of market and say, hey, this is what we do. If you ever need us, can we leave some cars behind? We still do that. But the majority of the places that we are at nowadays was brought to us by a connection we made through marketing or networking. Either somebody knows somebody, hey, let me introduce you, these guys are great, here's what they do if you ever need them, and that gives us a little bit of credibility. And just like that, they're like, hey, we need your services. Once you go there, you do a good job, everything's taken care of, you get called back, you get called back, you get called back. And that's like this place. We went there for a networking group that was meeting for a breakfast that we do every month. They did a tour after. I was talking to the lady, told her what we do. I was asking her questions about the tour because we work with a lot of seniors. So we like to be able to say, hey, we know a place you can check out. Here's their rough price structure. Here's what they have to offer. And I like to, keep that up here. And she said, oh, let me introduce you to our other building, the memory care side, where that's often needed. And, let them know what you do. And since then, they're not big jobs. We've only done one or two room cleanouts, which are maybe 500 to 700. The majority of them are minimum and 1/8 floats. So you're looking at 100 to 250 tops. So not a lot of big jobs, but it's a lot of repetition. And no matter what, that's putting you in a good standing for anybody else there who may need you. It's putting you in a spot where a family may need you, or maybe someone may need you before they move into the facility. So you may have an opportunity to clean out a whole a whole house, because they're only moving a bedroom. And a lot of that just comes down to making connections. So if you don't already, I would highly recommend that you check out networking. It's very simple. A lot of people think it takes too much time, and it certainly can, depending on how you make use of it. But I think the most important thing is you have to stay in touch. You have to follow up with people. You can go to one of those free events on a Thursday morning at 8 o'clock for coffee. They meet at a local shop, and you usually get a couple of realtors and an accountant or someone that does the printing services or something. You'll get a pretty mixed group, and some of them are obviously more beneficial to you than others, but it's still professionals and it's still people who have a network themselves. So by getting to know them, getting their information before you leave, and then send them an email, give them a call, send them a text and say, hey, it was great to meet you at so-and-so. We'd love to keep in touch. Why don't we meet for lunch sometime this next month? Doesn't have to be tomorrow. Sometime this next month, let's get to know each other a little bit better. You want to build that closeness with people, because in business, people tend to work with who they like and trust. And you need to build that up front. People don't know who you are. You could be the nicest person in the world. You can be the most trustworthy person in the world. Your business could be the best in the world. People won't know that until they know you. But they don't have to work with you in order to know that. They just need to know you as a person. So that's really a good chunk of a lot of our repetitive business, is just meeting people, being introduced, and you get one job, you do well, and then you get more. So you can do Eventbrite. I'll throw it up on the screen. You just go on there, click on the business category, locate it to your city, click on the little tab that says free events, unless you don't mind paying. And they usually do lunches, or they'll do happy hours or coffee meetups. Those are the main common ones. Sometimes I'll do an expo. You can do those if you want, just for branding purposes, but I wouldn't expect to make too much connection there, because that's not people's primary goal for being there. But it's an option. So that's what I would start with. And then you can go on Facebook and you can look at different groups and look for people who are hosting their own networking events. A lot of people who are in the networking event already tend to start their own, because it's a good way to pull in business, especially realtors. So do your research. You don't have to go to 10 of them a week. We've gone to up to 4 to 5 different organizations a week, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And we're not owners that are just doing ops in the background. We're working too, so it's hard for us to do that. But if you can just do 1 or 2 a week, you know, whether it's maybe coffee one week and then do like a happy hour or do a lunch, and just try to work your jobs around it a little bit so you can stay consistent. You don't want to just go once and like never go back. It's good to try to go at least every week if you can. Worst case, once a month. And stay in touch with the people. It goes a long way, I promise you. You know, add them on social media, especially Facebook, and then every time you post, they'll see your stuff over time, so at least they're kind of up to date with you. You can see what they're doing. You can like, you can comment. Maybe their kid just went to, you know, States for a track or something, and you know, the next time you can see them, you say, hey, how did your kid do at the States meet? That's something that's gonna register a connection, because they're like, oh, they recognize that. And like, they're asking me about my personal life and my kid and his accomplishments. Of course I'm gonna be proud to talk about my own kid. And you're just building conversation, you're making a friend. I don't have a lot of personal friends. I have work friends and acquaintances, but I talk to some of them as much as I would a friend. So, you know, I got my cat and my wife. How many friends do I need? Let's be honest, you know? I ain't got no friends. I ain't got no time for friends. Mr. Lonely over here. But I know people in business, and I can ask business questions, and business is 2/3 of my life. So, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is get to know people, be on a friend-like level with them. Still keep it professional. You can still shoot the shit with them. You can go play pool. You can go get a drink. You can talk about stuff. You know, you can swear around them. You don't have to be uptight all the time. But understand the boundaries of business with them. That's something I would add in there. I haven't made that mistake yet, but I know people who do. So that's my 2 cents on the subject. That's a good way to get more concrete jobs and repetitive work, in my opinion, is having those connections. All right, I'm hoping this is all I need. We will see. All right, we are here. Fun fact, it's actually not in memory care. I thought it was. It's not. It's on the other side, so I don't have to worry about going through a door with a buzzer and a timer and a really loud siren if you're not done in 15 seconds. So here we are. Now, on the phone, he did not say anything about a chair. My only knowledge of this job was there was a rug and a cabinet for the TV. Now, I'm not gonna increase the price, because when he said there's a cabinet for the TV that you open up and put a TV in, maybe he said on and I heard in, I don't know. But I was thinking of like a taller, like small TV center cabinet. So since it's short, I'm just gonna put these two together and I'll keep it the way it is. It's not a big deal. And it helps out that these are all in pretty good condition. I'm surprised donation didn't take them. Although I guess their truck was full, so they probably didn't have a choice. But we can donate all of this, so I don't even have to worry about it. So we are still gonna try to do one trip. I'm gonna challenge myself. I think I can just lay that on the dolly, put the chair on top of it. I'll put that thing inside the cabinet. There's a couple of little trash bags in here. I'll just put those in the drawer. And then there's 2 folding tables in the front closet that will maneuver around. And then I'll roll up the carpet and see if I can just rest it on top and have it sit between the legs of the chair. So we're gonna challenge ourselves and see if we can do it. we stopped by Wawa to grab a little drinky poo. Boop. And we're doing some truck branding. If you don't know what I mean, I recommend when you come to gas stations to pick up some quick foods in between jobs or coffee. Unless you need to actually get gas, I recommend you park in the front of all the gas pumps where you have a street on one side and then you have people on the other side. That way, you're basically a giant billboard in the way of their view, either when people are stopped at red lights coming this way or when they're getting gas. So right now, for example, there's 3 different contracting companies here. 3 different contracting companies here. There was a restoration company earlier, and then there's probably about 2 or 3 different moving companies in the time that I've been here. So who's to say any of them owns their own company and says, hey, sometimes we need junk removal. Like, can I have your information? Or they take a picture of the truck. We've had it happen a few times, which is why we do this. So if you're gonna stop to do something, try to make business out of it. So my goal is to not have to unscrew this because this is actually really hard to take off. I don't know what they used to put on it, but I tried it once in the past because I was gonna add a little washer thing to it and I could not get it off. So I'm gonna try to just cut it closer to the stem and I'll just reconnect a new one to it and try to get it as close as I can to where we're not having to mess with it and catching our fingers on it. So we have 2 of those like little converter things, and then I don't know what the circle one is for, so I'm not going to use that one, but we're just going to replace this, try to keep it to the same length. I basically just, this is one, I'll cut this off. I'll try to cut it down at the stem, and then I'll just make a new little loop and we'll attach it here, and that'll be my 2 little silver things. So hopefully this goes well. Well, it's not perfect. It's not even pretty, but it should work. It was actually kind of challenging getting, because I only have 2 of these. I used one here, and then I used the other one up here. But I didn't think about the fact that this needed its own for the loop. So I ended up having to use a little circle, which is a lot harder to close. I had to stick a brick here and hammer it because I started to bend my steel frame from hitting it with the hammer. So the easiest option would have been to take it off of this, I'm sure, and hammer it on the concrete where there's no vibration. But it should be good for now. If it breaks, I'll fix it again. But that's how it's gonna look for a little while until we just try to do it a little bit better next time. So